Well, welcome back to another episode of In Good Company, where we believe that the best parts in business happen in good company. And today's guest is a dear friend of mine. Gosh, I've known you for 15, 20 years at this point. I think we both had, didn't have the beards, like we were in a little bit different stage. But you are a guy that has not just stayed in one industry and just kind of focus solely on that, but the way that you've evolved and grown your life with your kiddos, your wife, and now you've moved into this beautiful new sector that I can't wait to dive into. Man, just so excited to have you. Thanks, Aaron Pulinski, welcome to the podcast.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
So awesome to have you. And dude, we go back, man. Mm-hmm. Like as I said, there's some episodes that feel like we can put a bunch of questions together and like I'm kind of meeting them for the first time. These are the ones I'm most excited about because I don't know how much appropriate things we're allowed to talk about on this, but like, I guess it's my podcast, so we can. We can talk about anything. But for those that don't know you, your story, like where you grew up, all that stuff, give us just a little bit of a snapshot of who is Aaron Pulinski, where'd you grow up?
It's, I guess a little different than some, I haven't watched all your episodes, I apologize, but it's a little unique.
It's okay.
I'm the oldest of four, grew up in Rochester. All four of us were homeschooled, part of a homeschool co-op, ended up going to public school in 8th grade, private school freshman year, back to public school to finish out high school, and then went to two different public universities, which is around the time that we met.
Yeah.
So I've done homeschool, public school, private school, and now even in my professional career, I can't seem to keep it in one lane.
Yeah. Let's take a breather on the homeschool thing for a second,
Sure.
Because I feel like, and not to get political or whatever else, but I feel like when like the vaccine stuff with COVID and like all these things started coming out, I've seen this emergence of people going like, well, we're just going to homeschool. Like we're going to kind of stay in this lane, do this thing. And kind of my old school perspective of homeschool is like, those are the weird kids.
Sure.
Like those are the kids that like aren't in public school. There was one kid that was homeschooled that made the middle school basketball team over me. And I'm like, who is this idiot?
Yeah.
He's homeschooled. He's weird. So
of course he made it. He's got all the time in the world to practice.
Bro, he's not even doing school.
Yeah.
So anyway, he turned out to be one of my best friends, was in my wedding, which is very weird. So anyway, the homeschool experience, is that something that you guys, like you and your wife have talked about? Is like, was that experience beneficial for you? Do you feel like that was really shaping for you? Would love to just hear your perspective on that.
I think it's an incredible tool that exercises and forces you at a young age to really start considering a lot of different things. I think it's a really good fit for some kids. I think it's a terrible fit for other kids. But what it taught me, and it challenged me in a lot of different ways that ended up becoming hugely important in my professional career and even in college. I've always been a very socially driven person.
Yeah.
And being in an environment that's, absent of that, it was something I was always craving. So when I did end up going to school, my number one priority was making friends and developing a social sphere. And I failed. I just didn't have any.
Yeah.
I was raised very evangelical, born again Christian. And so at that point, going into 8th grade, I think I'd only ever seen PG movies, and then you're thrust into this scenario where everyone's becoming men.
Sure.
And it was a battle on the social scene, and it took. I got rejected constantly, which lent itself well to, the careers I ended up getting into. But it also ended up teaching me how to be a chameleon, which was both good and bad. It taught me how to basically blend into any social circle. But what it also taught me was I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
I was constantly basically reflecting the personalities around me to be friends with them. And it wasn't until probably my junior year of college that I really knew who I was. And that was just a quirky, weird guy. And it turns out people like that quirky, weird guy. They don't like to look at an exact replication of who they are.
Yeah.
And so, it's obviously lent itself, that ability to kind of reflect people's personalities and garner relationships quickly has lent itself nicely. But I always fall back to what I ended up learning and developing, which is that, just be yourself. And it's such a hard concept especially when you want to make friends.
Yeah.
Um,
And it doesn't, I really appreciate you being vulnerable with that, because it doesn't necessarily go away as you get older. It's not like something that you just kind of mature out of. And, you know, there is in me, I always say, like, I'm a recovering people pleaser. And it's like, I do want to be liked by people.
Sure.
I do want people to watch this podcast and go, cool, Mike, like that was great. And it feels good. It makes you feel like what you're doing matters. But identity is massive, dude.
Yeah.
And I think if you are, if your value is in the hands of everybody else's opinion, like, you will never, ever, ever live a fulfilling life.
That's right.
Ever.
Yeah.
And I think for you to make that decision as a junior in college, and maybe someone that's listening that kind of is in that people pleaser seat, or they are in this chameleon type of seat, what advice would you have for them? How did you kind of ultimately get to that place?
Yeah, it wasn't a decision that I made. I went to, it was, a lot of things were happening simultaneously. So I went to SUNY Albany at first, and in that position, or in that school, I was, being from Western New York, a minority. There were more people from New York City, Long Island, Southern Tier. I mean, maybe 15% of that school was from Western New York, and the culture of the city was extremely pervasive throughout that university. So I always felt very not in on what was going on.
Yeah.
The cosmopolitan, metropolitan attitude and culture.
You're just like laughing at all the jokes. You're like, dude, totally.
Yeah. And so I was already, all of a sudden I was back to being the homeschool weirdo again.
Got it.
Like, I'm the Western New York kid. You know, what do you have more cows than kids? And,
Yeah.
you know, humans. And it was like, yeah, Rochester's the third biggest city in the state. Like, this isn't, like, I don't
Leave me
get it.
alone,
I don't
loser.
So I kind of went back to that space again.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind it because I was just this goofy country kid, I guess.
Yeah.
But it kind of gave me this other identity. And then when I ended up transferring to UB shortly thereafter, halfway through my junior year. And at that point, my folks had gotten divorced. And so kind of the structure that I had developed for myself back at home, I guess the renaissance of me being in high school and working through all the homeschool stuff was still tied in with my parents and the relationship they had in that whole family entity. And that kind of then, when I went to Albany, that whole new ripple came in, and then my family structure was torn apart.
Yeah.
And then I'm back at UB, which is closer to home, and I'm living with some friends from high school. And it was just this constant change. And having to kind of look at myself in the mirror and say, who are you and what's important and what are the things that truly matter to you, and what kind of person do you want to be and represent to the world?
Yeah.
And so all these changing scenarios kind of forced me to have to constantly take a look at who I was.
Yeah.
And eventually it just gets exhausting to try to be someone other than yourself.
Yeah, it's like performative. It's like you are constantly in a musical. You are constantly in a performance.
Really what it came down was confidence.
Yeah.
Just having confidence.
Yeah.
And it takes time to develop confidence no matter what you're doing, whether it's just living life and trying to be friends or in a profession, whether new or old, or learning something new. And I think one of the things that I've learned in terms of developing confidence, before you can develop confidence, you have to just be okay with being 1,000% vulnerable. Like, if you're not willing to be vulnerable and take the chance that you might look like a fool or you might misspeak, it's going to be really hard to develop confidence.
Yeah.
Because if you're just going through life questioning everything because you're afraid of rejection or being wrong, then you're never going to allow yourself the opportunity to gain confidence.
Right.
So that's one of the lessons I guess I took away, was just, one of my sayings is I love being wrong. Being wrong is one of my favorite things to be, because that means that for however long I'd thought that thing, I'd been wrong. And now moving forward, I can be right. And not have to live in a lie that I was telling myself, or a misrepresentation of something that I just was unaware of. So or even
the posture of, maybe I am wrong.
Yeah.
Like, even that posture of listening to someone else's opinion, or having like open discourse around something that, man, this is like that person's, perspective is causing me to expand my worldview and not just be so drilled into, I'm in this high castle and I have all the answers, right? I think that posture is huge. Having known you for so many years, I think the other thing that you have done such a good job of, bro, like such a good job, is you take time to reflect too. And you dive into journaling or like meditation, kind of quiet time type of things, whether it's in the morning or, you know, evenings in your backyard or like whatever, you know, bonfires, whatever it is. But that's a huge, we can pause this part of the episode because I want to get the wording right. That is soil for confidence to grow, for growth, maturity, like all those things to grow. If you are so fast and just running from one person to the next opportunity to the next thing, rush home to the kids, take care of your wife. Okay, we got this and we got to go visit this family member and this person's sick and we got to take care of that. Like if you are doing all those things without the opportunity for peace in your soul, in your spirit, again, you're just going to live in this constant state of overwhelm, this constant state of chaos. And I think, you know, none of us are perfect, but I do think you value that. You value that time.
I do. And I'll be honest, man, it's not something that I mindfully make an effort to do. It's something that just, I guess, in all honesty, it's something I try to escape. I try to make myself busy. I will drink or, you know, do something to take those things off my mind. And it's something that I actually struggle with. It's almost like a blessing and a curse. Like I can't stop being reflective, and it's something I honestly run from at times.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Yeah.
But also, like, you and I have played like many rounds of golf. I'm significantly better than you at golf. I'm not sure why that's funny, but I appreciate your laughter. But even when you're doing activities, like I've talked to many buddies that will go into a tree stand for 6-8 hours, and they are able to find those windows even in like the activity, right? Or the busyness of what they're doing. And I think even when we've golfed, it's like, bro, you and I have had some legitimately like spiritual, like human to human type of conversations that have changed my life, like have, you know, allowed us that space. And I just think, to your point, whether you're setting the time aside or it's just naturally in you, that even in busy pockets and busy windows, it could be a 20-minute car ride somewhere and you're reflecting and it's a posture of reflection.
Yeah, no, it's way more of a pervasive lifestyle that I don't know if it was intentional or not. Maybe it's something I developed as a kid. I guess I just didn't want to give the appearance as though I'm a very reflective, monkish type person, putting time aside and doing meditation. I'm not, but to your point, I am constantly like running algorithms, and it's subconscious.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, I'll find myself verbalizing some of these, I guess, calculations that have been occurring in the background.
Yeah.
And one thing about me that is 100% true is that I'm not afraid to share my thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm an extremely transparent person, probably to a fault. But I just don't see the point in hiding behind anything. Like, I don't like wasting time. It's one of my biggest. I like to run at a very high level of efficiency.
Yeah.
And so I don't ever like to, not be transparent, because inevitably something's going to come up that then we're going to have to backtrack, rehash, pick your favorite corporate jargon.
Yeah.
And I really just don't have the mental capacity to deal with that. It's pretty frustrating for me. So the more transparent I can be, I've found, the quicker things can move along.
Yeah. So let's dive into the work side, because I got to believe there's a lot of people that have been in sales. They've kind of been in a role where it's, hey man, like you gotta do X, Y, and Z in order to get a paycheck. Like this is not just come sit at a cubicle and like good luck. That's how we reconnected. Was you were working at one of the news stations here in Rochester, New York, and you were just doing some like LinkedIn outreach or like whatever it ended up being. You're like, oh, there's Mike. He's over at Triple O, one of the HVAC companies here locally. Talk about that like moment, that kind of memory of us coming back together, and then just share a little bit about what did you do for work and kind of that seat that you were in here at one of the stations.
Yeah, that was hysterical. I'd been trying to get an appointment with Triple O for a few years. It was when probably 2022, 21, maybe even earlier than that. I can't remember. But Triple O billboards were up everywhere. I'm like, these guys, I got to get them on TV.
Yes.
And I tried calling, no luck. And then I was on LinkedIn and I saw your name, and we probably, we developed a relationship in college at that conference.
Yep.
But then we kind of lost touch. It wasn't anybody's fault. We just both had busy lives and trying to kickstart our adult careers and all that kind of stuff. And then I saw your name as marketing director at Chippewa. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And I looked at my phone and I still had your number, and I just picked up the phone and called you, and just said I had some ideas. And we got together, and they ended up being good ideas. At least you thought so.
You got me, bro. You got me with the salesman. Mike, so great to hear your voice, buddy. How are the kids? Yeah. Great. This is going to cost you $150,000. No, but it was good. It was good. It was good. Yeah.
So that's how we got reconnected. And then from a standpoint of, the mindset of having to, paychecks aren't coming, right? It's like you got to, commission-based living is, I've always been a very competitive person. So that has always been like a drive for me. It's like, you're telling me if I just work hard, I can make as much money as I want. It's like, oh my God, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I don't like having anyone in too much control over any aspect of my life, whether it be how much I can make, where I need to be at any given time. But what it requires is an incredible amount of accountability. Good managers hold their salespeople accountable. The best salesmen people don't need managers because they hold themselves accountable.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, I would not. I developed the ability to hold myself accountable from a really good sales manager that I had early in my career, and he taught me how to set up systems to hold myself accountable, make sure things don't fall through the cracks. But I think that's one of the things, because being accountable and wanting freedom are antonyms. And so I think a lot of salespeople struggle with that. Is like, I want all the freedom in the world, but then somebody holds them accountable. Like, hey, I did this so no one would hold me accountable. And that's a struggle I think most salespeople have to deal with.
Leave me alone. Let me sell.
Yeah. And there's a fine line of that. And good managers will know when to let somebody go and when they need to hold them accountable or even inspire them. Like in my newer job, the firm I'm with now is just completely compiled up of absolute killers.
Yeah.
Absolute killers. And seeing them is incredibly inspiring because I'm not there yet. I was in my previous career. I know I'm going to be there again. And being surrounded by excellence is just, it's so easy to want to become excellent as well.
No question.
And I'm not saying that in my previous careers I was surrounded by less than excellence, but I was a high performer. And so there wasn't always somebody to compete with, I guess, if you will. And so that's when a good sales manager can step in and say, look, this guy's not getting challenged to the point, to the extent that he needs to be. I know he's capable of more. Yeah. And here's how I can hold them accountable in a way that is going to make them better and make them more money. That's what a really good sales manager does. Yeah.
Let me sit in this for a second because I know that there's people listening. I've been there where you are working a job that you're actually pretty good at, but it feels like the purpose side or like the meaningful work side or like the thing that really drives you that's not monetary. Like that light that used to be so strong when you were 22 fresh out of college, it just starts to dim. And now you're in your mid-20s, you're climbing the corporate ladder. But like the fulfillment side or like this is why I was put on this planet, that thing just starts to dim. And I got to believe that there was a moment for you, and we don't need to get into the weeds or whatever, but there was a moment for you where you could probably do your job like on autopilot, right? Where it's like, hey, I've built these accounts, I've got these people, and the clients never felt that. We never felt that. But I've got to imagine there was this crux point for you to say, I could stay here forever, make good money, be happy. But what happened in your brain that was like, you know what? I'm going to make this pivot, and we're going to obviously spend the rest of the podcast talking about that pivot. But for someone listening that's in that piece, like as I'm talking, they're like, okay, this dude's like reading my mail. This is exactly my life. Did you have something set up that you were prepared to jump for? Was it 100% faith jump? Like there's so many opinions on the internet of like, oh, build up your side hustle and then you make the jump, right? All those things. But talk about that kind of crux decision because you're a loyal guy. You do what you say you're going to do. And yet you had to have a conversation that you were going to let people down because you're a great employee. So talk about that whole moment with as much as you're willing to share.
Yeah. Comfort is awesome. It's also, I think, a disease. I'm somebody that values growth, both personally and professionally. And I'm not saying that I climbed the mountaintop and I was the best media salesperson in the world by any means, but I was good. Why I left was a combination of two things. I was no longer being challenged. I didn't and don't think there's really longevity left in the broadcasts.
I was going to
side.
mention that, yeah.
Unfortunately. Otherwise, things, my school of thought may have been a little bit different. But so between that avenue, I don't think having legs, broadcast TV, no longer feeling challenged. Those two things were the driving things as far as wanting to shift industries. As far as having the confidence, doing a side hustle, things along those lines, I'm a burn the boats guy.
Love it.
I'm an extremely binary person.
Yeah.
If I'm, like you said before, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
And when I say I'm going to do it, I'm 100% in on it. It's not dabbling around. So to dabble around or to grow up a side hustle, or if I were to become a pre-contract financial advisor and then still have still doing my full-time job in media, I just know that it would have been an incredible struggle for me.
Yeah.
And at 33, I want to build. I'm abandoning. This was the most emotional part. Was abandoning a decade of what I'd become an expert in.
Yes.
And then having to reinvent myself at 33 with 2 kids and 1 on the way. That was the most emotional, tough part about it. But I knew, being in that circumstance, if I were going to play diddlywink with both careers simultaneously,
100%,
then I'd be in this limbo area for way longer than I would have liked to be, as opposed to just shutting one down, turning one up, 100%, dedicating all my focus and time to it. That turnaround, and to get me back to where I was from a financial aspect, would be a much quicker turnaround. So that was definitely emotional, for sure.
Yeah.
And the other thing, and I think a lot of folks my age this might resonate with, but being 33 and putting a decade of time into a specific career, I was of the mind at first that it was too late to make a change, that I'm just too old. I'm too old. You've got 10 years into becoming an expert in this field.
Yep.
You don't have the time or bandwidth to reinvent yourself at this age. And it took some time for me to figure it out. It probably took a few months for me to be like, you're dumb. Like, that's a really dumb perspective.
Yeah.
Like, you've worked 10 years. You have 32 left. Like, literally a quarter of your career is over. Like, how could you say that you're too old to make a career change?
Yeah.
So that was a kind of revelation moment. And once I realized that, and that it might take me 3 to 5 years to, build back up to where I used to be.
Sure.
That's okay. Because then I still have 20 more years to still to still continue earning revenue and build my business. So
just to interject for a second, I think the other scenario of this is that you were the one that got to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
My dad worked for M&M Mars selling candy. Bro, I had the best Halloween, the best life, minus the cavities. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Skittles, Starburst, king-size Snickers, like the coolest. And not to get into the weeds about his story or whatever, but he worked there for 25 years. And it was a few years before like a big severance payout, like the whole thing. They let him go.
Yeah.
So that's that's the dark side of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
Is, let's say you didn't make the transition. You didn't make the pivot. You got to decide, like, this is the time that I'm jumping out. If you stayed in an industry and always thought in the back of your mind, man, what if?
Mm-hmm.
What if I did this? What if I did this? And then got let go at 40 years old. Now you're at a different stage, 45 years old, 50 years old. Now you got 10 years left. And you're like, well, I'm a one-trick pony. This is all that I know how to do. And so again, I think for people listening that maybe have put in their energy into a career for a very long time, this is the ecosystem with social media, the connectivity on the internet, like all the things that are out here. This is the moment for us, for you, to be able to say, you know what? If there was ever a time, I'm not going to wait till this thing is perfect. But if there was ever a time, like, if I know, I'm going to go, type of deal.
Yeah.
And I'm encouraged by your story, man. I think that is, again, back to the reflective statement, not to keep positioning you as Monk Aaron.
Socrates.
It's like there is a statue of Aaron outside of my house. Unbelievable marble.
That's nice.
Aaron's wife chiseled it. She loves him so much. Anyway, sorry, I know you did not. But you're being able to reflect like as it's happening, like processing type of motor, right? Of like, okay, like I'm gonna keep moving at this fast pace, but I also know that like I'm not gonna sit on my hands, and this is not gonna be a 5-year decision type of window. And again, I just feel this deeply. There's people that have been standing on the diving board for years, and they don't have the courage to make that jump.
Dude, I was sitting on the diving board for 2 months, and I felt like I was gonna die. I can't sit on the diving board.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I'm very binary. And that level of anxiety that I was experiencing, or the, I just couldn't handle it anymore. It was like, you need to make a decision. And you know that what you're doing right now, you're not happy doing, or you're not comfortable, or you're not whatever, all the extenuating circumstances. So you know what that looks like. You don't want to climb back down the ladder.
Yeah.
And go confront all the people you told where you're going to jump. And those people in this metaphor, simile, whatever it is, those people waiting at the bottom of the ladder, that's just your brain.
It's
not like actual physical people that you have to say, hey, I didn't make the jump. It's just your own brain. And that's, I think, the biggest battle we all have is our own brains.
Of course.
And
but that is back to the confidence statement that you said. When you can make disciplined decisions and agreements with yourself and then follow through on those things, you are building confidence, because now you've developed trust within your own self. When I say something, I'm going to do something, whether it's on a stage in front of a bunch of people or it's a private decision, something that you're able to overcome and get through, and all those kinds of things. So let's talk about, what are you doing now?
Sure.
Obviously it's a totally different industry, totally different experience. And again, it's almost like when you're the king of the castle in 8th grade, you're on the basketball team, you're like, dude, I'm the oldest kid in school, I'm experienced, I got this thing. And then the next year you get dropped and you're a freshman, 9th grade, bottom of the totem pole. Here we go. Talk about what you're doing, man, and like how you've been able to adjust and really take on a humble posture of, I got so much to learn, I got courses to take. I've loved watching it. I've loved just being in kind of the background, just going like, that's my buddy, like he's doing it. So just talk about the new industry that you're a part of.
Yeah, so I'm in helping people with their finances, really. I mean, financial advisor is the word that you hear pervasively. I'm learning, a few months into this new career, that word, I think, is a really broad brush. People say they work with a financial advisor, or you know what they do and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of like saying you're an athlete. Like, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Do you play polo, or are you a golfer?
I play video games online.
Right.
I'm an e-athlete.
It's an incredibly broad term. But what's really been interesting is that it's the same job I've had my entire life.
Right.
Which is listening and helping people.
Yep.
It's the same job.
Yeah.
And no matter whether you're selling, what doesn't really matter, websites or TV spots or life insurance, or it doesn't matter. You just have to listen. And then it's not selling. It's just helping people get the things that they've wanted but didn't know how to communicate effectively.
Yeah, you are a bridge between where they are and where they want to be.
Yeah.
Whether it was in media, I'm a business that wants to get new customers.
Yep.
Perfect.
Great.
Here's the bridge. Right?
Yep. Yeah. And in this career, it's really exciting, because in my, working in media and marketing, you're kind of limited to who you can help with, just business owners. For
sure.
So now in this role, I can help anybody I meet, which is exciting. Not everybody needs help. Not everybody wants help. It's totally fine. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
No, you need help. I'm not going to ever be that person. But there's just I think one of the things that we can all agree on is that the American school system doesn't even try to teach us financial literacy.
Bro.
They don't even try.
It's brutal.
It's eye-opening, in the limited time I've been doing this, to see the level of education that people have, whether they're self-taught, whether it's something they learned from their parents, whether they already are working with a great financial advisor,
Yep.
whether they got connected with a financial advisor that works on a very limited capacity of their overall financial plan, and they have a ton of confidence in that one part of their plan, and
Yep.
they're not necessarily aware that there's so many other components that makes up a really holistic financial plan. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. All I'm here to do is listen.
Yeah.
And educate in the way that I can. And whether in another thing, being, again, going back to the transparency thing, I've always been a believer, if you just don't know, just tell them you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to be the one that's going to say, just make up an answer to help myself look good.
Yeah.
I think you earn more trust when you just say you don't know.
100%.
And I like to operate in a world of trust. So
Yeah. Well, and I think even from my experience, having sat through, I'm in the early stages of going through this process with you too. And I think that at the end of the day, on a human level, like, you are a trustworthy guy. It's like, dude, if I needed a babysitter, I would drop my kids off at you and Molly's house. Like,
thanks, man.
You guys got it, And that is meaningful, and it comes across, whether it's something as intimate as someone's finances that they've worked really hard to develop and grow. But again, I think the offering or the services that you provide, like, that's one thing. But I think it's the true nature of your availability, your willingness to listen. Like, those are the things that can't be taught. And I think that you stepping into this role, as that freshman, like I said in that example, you are moving fast because you already have those intangible type of things that are going to allow you to do that. One of the things that you and I were talking about this morning before the episode was there's little things that you can see all over social media with those annoying little gurus, like, oh, if you put this, and this, and you can grow this, and click here to sign up for my ebook, or whatever. And there's so many voices in the finance space and kind of in this that I think the stigma is, oh, these people are ripping me off. Like, there's got to be some fine print in here somewhere where, like, they're like making money off of my money and like da da da. And I remember in the process with you guys, not to overshare, the experience, but I asked those questions and you guys responded with them right away. It was not like, yeah, when we get to the final proposal piece, like, you'll be able to review everything. Like, everything was transparent, everything was open, and I just think, I'm so excited to see, where this takes off for you. What is one thing, and I know I don't want to get into like financial advice or any of those things, but is there anything that you feel like for a like a young family or someone that's kind of in a space right now where they're doing good financially, like they're in a good spot. I'll use my example because I don't want to go outside of that. Yeah. We were doing pretty well financially, and it was about 4 years ago, right around COVID, where we started to invest in just a Roth IRA. And we were talking about this before. And my wife and I both are doing kind of that max contribution every single year. And we both now, the accounts have both grown by like $20,000 each, which this is going to make me sound incredibly ignorant to financials. So I apologize to my family. but ultimately, that money would have just sat in a bank account.
Sure.
And maybe I'm the most ignorant guy and maybe everybody else already knows that, but just in case people don't, that's just one example.
There's so many things that anyone can do to prepare themselves better financially. There's not a one size fits all. A Roth IRA was a great solution, it sounds like, for your family.
Yep.
It may not be for another.
Sure.
And that's where, having a good financial advisor, the first thing he's going to do is ask you what your goals are. And
right.
Goals aren't numbers, and numbers aren't goals.
Yep.
What do you have on the horizon, both short-term, medium-term, long-term, that you want to accomplish and achieve or own or pay off? That's the foundation of any sound financial planning. You hear a lot of advice, especially on social media, like you mentioned before. Like, the clips are just off the charts.
Bro.
And people speak very confidently that this is what you need to be doing no matter what. And I find that to be a little bit irresponsible.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
not everyone's different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
dump your 401k, put it into real estate, go start Airbnb, right? It's like, what are we doing?
I mean, I'm not even going to touch on specifics, but there's just, I think when you get into one size fits all planning, that should be a red flag.
Yes.
Most of financials are actually really simple. People like to make them really complicated, and I'm experiencing this. They say when you start getting into this as a profession, that your mind is blown and everything seems like there's all these really complicated or really simplified solutions to all these problems. Then in phase 2, you dive into the weeds of what all these solutions are and make everything extraordinarily complicated.
Yeah.
And then in stage 3, everything's very, very simple.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that's depending on where you are in life, whether you're a professional or not. That's how finances might feel.
For
it's
sure.
Like, I need X amount of dollars to cover X amount of bills. Great.
Yeah.
Then you get into stage 2, and it's like, well, taxes, income, all this other things come into play.
Kids, college, whatever.
Right. Things get really complicated. And then hopefully my role is to help that individual get to stage 3.
Great.
Where things aren't chaotic and complicated anymore. They're now being simple again.
Great.
So that's kind of, showing my professional what that career, what that, launch is going to look like, and from an understanding and education standpoint.
Yeah.
And my goal is to help individuals get past that stage 2 into stage 3, where they can just rest confidently knowing that things are happening and really make it automated. That's great. That's really it. I mean,
and how can, before we get into the rapid fire hot seat questions to close here, how can people get in touch with you? Or, because again, this is not like a cheap sales pitch or whatever, but you're always down for a conversation of, is this even the right fit for you?
Yeah.
Like, just take my word, like you're very approachable in that way. So what is kind of the best way for someone to reach out to you, or to even just have like a discovery call of what are some of the services that you guys provide, things like that? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Phone calls or emails easiest.
Cool.
I'll share that information. You can put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
I like to talk on the phone.
Yeah.
If you want to email me to set up a time, that's obviously totally fine. But originally we just go grab coffee or have a phone call, and I'd want to understand what you're trying to accomplish, see if it's a good fit. And our firm has some philosophical standpoints that may not jive with other folks,
sure,
or may not be their priorities.
Yeah. And do you only work with New York State?
That's all I'm licensed for right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
New York State. I guess there's one. I know I said that there's no one size fits all financial advice. There is one, which is pay yourself first. Pay yourself first, because if we make paying bills the priority and we make saving for X the priority, then we're no longer, and our families are no longer the priority. So instead of waiting for all your money to hit your checking account, pay off your bills, and then decide what to do with that leftover money, hopefully there is some, already have a plan for what that leftover money is going to do, and don't ever let it even hit your checking account. Checking account is where money goes to die.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah. If you can arrest money from ever getting to your checking account and recapture that and put it into vehicles that will start performing and helping you accomplish the things that you want to accomplish and the goals you have for your life.
Yeah.
That's the majority of financial planning.
It's incredible. Yeah, dude, I have so many personal stories that I'm embarrassed to share around this topic. I will close with this one.
Okay.
I think for our wedding 10 years ago, we got like 10 grand, right? Like worth of wedding gifts, like cards with the money and stuff. And it just sat in a bank account. And I don't think we spent it or started to use it until probably 7 years in, let's say.
That's incredible, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, it is cool. Like, that's great.
That's a lot of discipline to not touch 10 grand.
Yeah. But what's really incredible on the negative side is what could 7 years of investment have done with 10K? Sure. And it's not a ton of money, but dang, could have turned into something, right?
Sure.
So again, for those listening, I implore you to get in touch with Aaron. Super approachable, incredible friend, dear friend. And again, we'll have that information in the show notes as well. To conclude our episode, rapid fire hot seat questions. Here we go. These are one-word responses or a couple sentences if it's a longer question. Are you a coffee or energy drink guy to get your day started?
Coffee.
Like just black?
Black.
Wow. Great. Morning or night work session?
Morning.
Great. That's when you're sharpest.
Yeah, for sure. At night, I'm strange in that I only typically eat one meal a day, and it's dinner. And after I eat dinner, I'm done. Like, I'm done.
Yeah, bro. I try to go to lunch with you all the time, and you're like, "Yeah, I'll do a coffee."
Yeah.
Sick. Liquid diet. Love it. It's okay. That is true.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
Yeah.
What would you say is like the easiest way for you to unwind? Like, what's that thing that you look forward to?
Seeing my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Favorite Buffalo Bills player, past or present?
Fred Jackson.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Freddie.
Yeah.
He was great.
He was the best.
Some people nicknamed him Fast Freddie. He wasn't very fast.
No.
But he was an absolute legend.
If he got past the line, good luck catching him. He always seemed to have like rear view mirrors that he could see and just make a little move at the last second.
Yes.
But
The man.
just his engine was just something that I try to strive for in my own life. Like, you could not get that guy down.
Yeah. And like being D3.
Yep.
Working his way up.
Yep.
Like, love that.
Yeah, I love Fred Jackson.
Yeah, likewise. This is one of my favorite questions ever. I reserve it for just a few people. Just depends on if I feel like it's worth pulling it out. What are you most proud of?
That's a good question.
I told you, it's my favorite question.
I guess it's what I'm most proud of is building the foundation that I've built for my family. I've always wanted to get married and have kids. It was the main driver of everything that I ever thought about, even when I was homeschooled.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I need to do to build a family and make sure that they're happy, thriving, all those things. And I've accomplished that. And that's what I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it oozes out of you. You and I were golfing, and then I'll close, and you got the call from your wife that you guys were pregnant.
Yeah.
And I've golfed with you in the past where golf is the priority of the day. And, you know, your language is colorful and you're not super happy all the time. And this particular day, golf had no value.
No.
And it was an absolute joy to be there and to see that.
That was crazy.
And that oozes, man. You like hugged me like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, are we going to play golf? Or no, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, just to have been there with you. But thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure,
Awesome
man.
to have you.
Appreciate
And
having
thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of In Good Company, where we really do believe that the best parts in business happen in good company. Take care.
Thanks for listening to In Good Company. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. For more information or to connect with Mike, visit him online at thomasmediagroup.co or on Instagram at Michael L. Thomas. Thanks again for listening, and remember, the best of business happens in good company. We'll see you next time.